Is the held first Friday of the month at 7:30 p.m. Anniversaries are celebrated on the second Friday of the month. We have open discussion format on men's rap group. This facility has some rules. If you need to smoke, please take it outside, away from the church, across the street, or by the park. No loitering anywhere in the church. Only church servants are allowed in the kitchen. If you have children with you, keep them beside you. Refrain from using profanity. Thank you. If you have any weapons, drug paraphernalia, please take them outside. You are welcome these things tonight. This is to protect the meeting space and NA as a whole. In order to help us maintain an atmosphere of recovery, please turn your cell phone off or on vibrate. If you need to speak to someone, please take it outside. Suggestions: make 90 meetings in 90 days. Get a response to read IP 11. Come early and stay late. Get phone numbers. Dial them, do not dial them. It is better to have them and not need them than to need them and not have them. Stay away from people, places, and things. Do not use, no matter what. The format of this meeting is that the speaker will share his experience, strength, and hope for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then this is followed by the secretary's report, followed by a burning desire, followed by a show of hands. The seventh tradition states that anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principle before personality. What that means is the bearing of no name. What you see here, what you hear stays here, because gossip hurts. Just a reminder, there are many ways of saying the same thing, so please, no profanity. To share your feelings with us, you do not need to be graphic about it. Before we invite our speaker to come and share, I'd like to read a clarity statement which is as follows. In NA, we are presented with a dilemma. When NA members identify themselves as addicts and alcoholics, cross-addicted, or talk about living clean and sober, the clarity of the NA message is diluted. To speak in this manner suggests that there are two diseases, that one drug is separate from the rest. Narcotics Anonymous makes no distinction between drugs. Our identification as addicts is all-inclusive, allowing us to concentrate on our similarities and our identity. This statement is offered in the spirit of NA unity. Please remember, this request is not made to rule, censor, or dictate behavior. We make this request to help provide an atmosphere of NA recovery where we can hear the simple, unconfused, and life-saving message of our beautiful fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. Thank you. Without further ado, I bring on our speaker, Brother Aaron. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Aaron. I'm an actor.
Hey, Ron.
I'm grateful to be here today. You don't have to stand up or to sit down. In the UK, we normally sit down. You know what I mean? But I notice people stand up here, you know.
Either way.
Yeah, either way? Is that alright? Either way? I'm free today. Okay, that's cool. So, really grateful for the opportunity to be here and to share some of my experience with you guys. I'm 6 years and 2 weeks clean. That's something that I learned from you guys as well. Everyone shares their clean time, whatever. And my home group is important. I was told to get a home group. My home group is Happy Mondays home group. We meet every Monday in Stratford in London. And really proud to be a part of that group, you know. And, I'm over here, my sponsor's over here. I've got a sponsor over here and I keep on pinching myself, you know. I can't believe, that, the life that Narcotics Anonymous has given me and a God of my understanding, it has enabled me to kind of travel across the world to be able to speak with you guys, and I never just came here for that. I came here because I believe I was kind of driven here. All roads kind of led there. My sponsor was going there. My sponsor who lives in the UK, but he's from here. He was going to be here. Do you know what I mean? And I don't work. I work in Turkey. I don't work in the UK. And I'm on a little break. Do you know what I mean? And it so happened on this break, all this activity was happening in New York. And I don't, in Turkey it's a different language. So what people do, they interpret for me. When I go to a meeting, if I'm lucky enough, I kind of huddle up to someone who can talk English, and they interpret, and I'm really grateful for that, and more than anything else, more than the words, it's the spirit. Mm-hmm. It's the spirit in the room, what I feel, and that's why I go, but there's still something missing, So like, I spend 6 months of the year in another country where people don't talk the language, so, I feel a little bit isolated, I still talk to my sponsors, I still connect with my sponsor, I still do all the stuff that I was taught to do in order for me to stay sane, not even clean, to stay sane. I do all that stuff, but there was, around fellowship, there was still something missing. So I looked at you guys. We call it Where to Find. I don't know what you call it here. We call it Where to Find. We're your meeting list. And before I came in, I noticed there was meetings all the way through the day, from 7 o'clock in the morning, 9:30 in the morning, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I remembered it all. 3 o'clock. You know what I mean? You've got meetings running through. So this is the place to be. This is the place to be. You know what I mean? So yesterday, I being an addict, I get obsessive and compulsive. I done 4 meetings yesterday, I mean? I just went from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting, But at the end of the day, this is what saved my life. Mm-hmm. Narcotics Anonymous saved my life, Where I come from, I come from like, I've got a family. I've got two brothers, two sisters, and I'm right in the middle, and my story, people, I come here and I sat down and I've listened to people's stories, and my story is basically the same as you guys' story. Do you know what I mean? When I came to Narcotics Anonymous, I didn't realise that I had the disease of addiction. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? I just thought I had a drug problem, and I came here because I wanted to stop using. Do you know what I mean? By working the program and finding out more, I found out that this is a lot more than just not using. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't understand that. I used with my partner for many, many years. Me and my partner used together. We, she had children, and it's only 15, 20 minutes, so I'm gonna kind of go through, quite rapidly. Where we had children together, our lives were completely unmanageable. Mm. Internal and external unmanageability was happening in our lives. You know what I mean? And I was in complete denial. I thought there was some way, or that, something's going to happen, and I'm going to be able to stop this. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't one of these addicts. A lot of people said I thought I would die like this. You know what I mean? I don't know why. All I've got is my truth. I never really thought that. But however, I didn't know the way out. I could not see the way out. So so there was a lot of jails, there was a lot of institutions, and it ended up with my partner going to jail, me looking after the children on my own, and obviously I couldn't stop using, going out and committing crime. I got caught by the police. I couldn't pick my children up from school. So social services, they got involved. You know what I mean? That's I don't know. Do you call it the same thing here, or is it? Yeah. Social services, they got involved, and the kids were taken. They were removed from me. You know what I mean? And I never come here to I come here to see the truth. Yeah. When the children got removed from me, I made all the right noises. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, my children, I was this, that. But deep down, I thought, you know what? Now I can use. Now I can use without having the responsibility of, Dad, can you do this? Dad, can you do that? Or I've got to cook, or I've got to get up in the morning after I've been smoking all night long to go and drop them to school. The responsibility was gone, And, it talks in our literature that drugs turns us into people that we didn't really want to be. And for me, what I ended up doing, after I got that phone call that the children had been taken away from me, I went straight home, picked up their PlayStation and the Nintendo Wii. What wasn't even bought by me, it was bought by another family member for Christmas, because they knew that I couldn't afford, to buy it, and I had my eye on it all this time. The minute the kids got taken into care, I took that and went and sold it for drugs. Mm-hmm. That's what I did. Do you know what I mean? And that's the way I lived. I remember I got a little bit of, I was going to say recovery there, that's a lie. I got a little bit of clean time at one point. Do you know what I mean? And me and my partner, we accumulated lots of material, outside stuff, and I had a little taste of NA at the time, but I didn't really know what this was about, And when we both relapsed, I remember laughing with my partner, saying, I thought they said it gets worse, because I had all these material stuff. Within 6 months' time, she was in jail, my kids were in care, and I was sitting in an empty house on my own. It got more worse than it had ever been. Do you know what I mean? Drugs turned me into a person that I didn't want to be. You know, I can just give you one little example. My partner, when she was out of jail and we were together, she used to go to her father, you know, and to manipulate her father. You know, he's got a generous spirit. He's a lovely person. He's got characteristics that I would like to attain as a man. Do you know what I mean? I would like to attain. But anyway, he's a lovely person, and she would say, you know, she would make up stories, and she would say, look, me and Aaron, we're gonna go out tonight, and we need some money for the babysitter and this and that. And he would always give her money, So there was one time she went up there to get some money, and I'm sitting down and I'm waiting. Have you ever been waiting for someone to come back with drugs? Oh. Do you know that feeling when they're telling you, okay, I'm gonna be an hour. I'm going to be an hour, you know, and they leave the house and it's been like 7 minutes and you're like, you know what I mean? And you can't concentrate. You can't think of anything else. You say, okay, let me sit down, let me put on the TV. Put on the TV and wait. Do you know what I mean? I'll watch this program. This will make the time go quicker. But you're watching, you're looking at the TV, but you're not watching. You're not really watching. That horrible feeling, it was like that. It was like that. I'm at the window, I could not stop. Anyway, I finally get a phone call from her and she's screaming down the phone. I'm saying, I can't understand what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying. She's screaming, and I kind of work out finally what she said. She's had a car crash and she's written off the car where she's gone to get the drugs and she's racing back home, you know what I mean, to come and pipe with me, and she's crashed into something and she's crashed and whatnot. Do you know, when I worked out what she had to say, do you know what my response was? But did you get the drugs?
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. Did you get the drugs? We can work out if your collarbone's broken or if the car's alright. We can work out that after. We can talk about that shit after. But right now, we need to know, did you get the drugs?
That's right.
Drugs turned me into a person that I did not want to be. Selfish, self-centered, self-seeking person. That's who I was. That's who I was. You know, until I come to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. And when I came to Narcotics Anonymous, I tried this a few times, you know, and it got to a point where someone took me from the meeting and he said to me, listen, I'm going to take you to a group, yeah? And when you get inside this group, you know, I want you to do something for me. And I hear you say it in your readings and your meetings here, I want you just to sit down and listen. For once, sit down and listen. So I used to come to the meetings and what I used to do is hear what he was saying. I thought, that sounds good. So I'll just say that at the next meeting. Do you know what I mean? It sounds good, you know, but that's because I didn't know, and that's because I want to feel a part of, but I don't want to do what you lot are doing to get what you lot have got. So I'm thinking I could nick a few things and I could be able to get it. I just kept on relapsing. He said, listen, when you go to this meeting, sit down and just listen. And when I sat down and listened, I like to put it like this. I was broken enough to be open. You know, I was broken enough at that point to be open, you know, and I heard the message. I heard that, you know, I used to say I didn't used to hear the message in them other meeting, but I went to this meeting and it was brilliant. Do you know what I mean? But as time gets on, you get more honest. The message has always been there. There's always an opportunity for me, but it was where I was. You know, my ears were shut, but at this time I heard what the people were saying. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, this group was tough. You know, this group was tough. You know, they weren't into telling me, you know, there, don't worry, it will be all right. Because I had relapsed again. This is why the guy brought me to this meeting. He never said to me, it will be all right. He would tell me straight, it's not going to be all right. It's not going to be all right. He ain't going to lie to me. Do you know what I mean? He said, it's not going to be all right. There's things that you're going to need to do if you want to get this. Do you know what I mean? And this group was big on service. They were really big on service, you know. And I remember what they'd done, you know, they really loved me in the sense of, you know, between meetings, they would take me to, you know, the coffee shops. They would cook for me. They'd reach out for me. They would do stuff for me, you know. But that only lasted for a few days. And then it was like, they give me a phone call and they said to me, okay, we're going to go out and do some service. And I'm like, service? What do you mean service? We're going to go and help the still suffering addict. I was baffled. Because I'm like, well, I've just come from a relapse. I am still suffering. I am still suffering addict. Do you know what I mean? So they were like, I was confused. So they said to me, we're going to meet. They were doing public information. We're going to meet and we're going to do public. We're going to have a meeting first, public information. Then we're going to go out there and we're going to give some of these stuff to some of the doctors and whatever, let them know that we whatever. And they said, and I said, well, I don't know how far this meeting's going to be, and I'm not sure if I can quite whatever. They said, don't worry about nothing. They said, we'll pick you up. We'll pick you up and we'll bring you to this meeting where we're going to have a party. Anyway, cut a long story short, they had me out doing public information. I was probably about 5 days clean. I was out there, giving it, and I was totally baffled. But what happened is, the week after, when I went back to the home group, and people were talking about what they were doing and what they've been up to, I was proud to say, well, last week I was doing public information. I felt a part of. I didn't have to mimic what the next man was saying. I was actually doing something. I was putting in action. Do you know what I mean? So my recovery started to take form, and I got involved in the steps, and I got involved in the literature. I got involved in this book here. I started reading this book here. And it says here about, if you found this book, give yourself a break and read it. And I wasn't one of the ones to say, okay, but I didn't read it. I did, but I read it on my own, and I didn't really understand. And when the book really came alive is when I sat down with another addict. The therapeutic value of one addict helping another. This is when this book came alive. It stopped just being a book, and I started reading who was an addict, and I could see Aaron. Because what my sponsor was doing, he was bringing the book alive. He was asking me, what's your experience on that? Did you experience that? Do you know what I mean? And then we started, I started talking about my experiences. Like the book started to come alive. It was a whole different thing. Do you know what I mean? And I went further with my other sponsor as well. And we started looking in this book, and we started identifying what the suggestions were, and what the musts were, and what the questions were. We started to really get into this stuff. Do you know what I mean? And I stand by what's inside this book. So my partner, she got clean as well. I went away to get clean. Do you know what I mean? And I done recovery in another town. She done recovery in another town. And we both worked the 12 steps separately over there, and just like the women's meetings over there and we're over here, it was like that separately. Do you know what I mean? Because we got told it's not gonna work with us like this together. We used together. Do you know what I mean? We had children together. And trying to do recovery together, it just wasn't gonna work, man. It weren't gonna work. So I took on that advice, and I done my recovery there, and she done her recovery over there. Different parts of the UK we were in. And after I finished the 12 steps, I was frightened to go back to the area that I came from, because I thought it was the area. You know what I mean? That was making me, I was frightened. I was so comfortable where I was, And I was talking to my sponsor, and I said, yeah, I've been doing the 11th step, and I've been praying and meditating, and I think God's telling me that I should stay here. I shouldn't go back, And my sponsor said, well, maybe something's telling you that, but I'm not quite sure if it's God, 5 minutes. So yeah, I did end up going back. Do you know what I mean? And we ended up, and what happened is I realised that her way that she had gone through the work was different to the way I had gone through the work, and that scared me at the time, because I thought, well, who's wrong and who's right, and then I got to understand there is no wrong, there is no right. You know what I mean? In here it says, whatever works, we go all the way. Whatever works, we go all the way, She was doing a 4th step different to me. I said, how did you do your 4th step? She said, well, I done it this way. You know what I mean? I said, well, I done it that way. So who's got it right, who's got it wrong? In here it says there's a number of ways. There's a number of ways to work a 4th step, So it's all these little things, all these little revelations came up, But, this is a men's meeting, and I want to touch on this. When I was up there and she was down there, she used to come and visit me, yeah? And when she used to come and visit me, we used to have sex. We used to have sex, it was wonderful, every time. Do you know what I mean? We used to have sex. When I used to go down to London to visit her, the same thing would happen, yeah? But when I moved back down there, after maybe a couple of months, I wasn't having regular sex with her. And this freaked me out. As far as I was concerned, the relationship was doomed. There was something wrong, or maybe she's seeing someone else, or maybe this, or maybe that. I couldn't work out what's going on. Do you know what I mean? It freaked me out, and I had a thought about it, and I thought, this is, it's a man's, this is the kind of thing that I can share. Maybe someone can identify with where I'm coming from. What happened, in my emotional immaturity, because, I've been using drugs for so many years, I didn't realise that just because the woman didn't want to sleep with me every single night, it doesn't mean that she still doesn't love me. It doesn't mean that, And what I ended up doing, I got suggested by my sponsor to go to some other meetings with people who have families who've been in recovery for long lengths of time. You know what I mean? So I went there. Do you know what I mean? I went to the city meeting where there was men that were in there who have families, And I connected with them, and I shared my concerns. I shared my concerns, man. And I said to them, I'm getting sex maybe once a month. They said, once a month? I just said, yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying? They said, oh, you're lucky. I was like, what? Do you know what I mean? But it's like, what I'm trying to say, I mean, I've only got 5 minutes, I can't believe. What I'm trying to say is, that's a small example of being open, being honest, and linking up with other men in the fellowship. You know what I mean? I'm slowly learning how to grow up in this fellowship. I'm still young. I used drugs for so many years. So when other people was developing their normal life skills, I wasn't developing that. So now coming into Narcotics Anonymous, I'm learning how to be a husband. I got married last year. I'm learning how to be a husband. I'm learning how to be a father. I've got children. Do you know what I mean? I'm learning this stuff. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's like, I don't know what you guys do, but it's like sponsorship. Sometimes I'm taking a shot in the dark. Do you know what I mean? There's some things, but I'm trying, and my family, the kids that were in care and taken off by social services all over the place, we ended up getting all of them back. We ended up getting all the kids back. The kids are stable. Mum and dad ain't running out the house no more. Do you know what I mean? Or going to jail anymore. Do you know what I mean? And this is all down to Narcotics Anonymous. Do you know what I mean? I'm able to sit down with my child now and go through his homework with him. Do you know what I mean? I'm able to do that. I'm able to turn up at school events, And like I never used to do. I used to look at the letters and think, I ain't going to that. What, tea morning? I'm not going to that. Do you know what I mean? But it's important for me to hook up with the teachers and maybe build relationships with them to find out how my son's doing. Do you know what I mean? It's important for me to be there at parents' evening. Do you know what I mean? And not be an embarrassment. It's important for the children to look smart when they go to school. I'm learning all this. It's all through Narcotics Anonymous by getting service and turning up on time and doing all these little stuff. All these little skills I'm learning. Do you know what I mean? Last year, as I said, I got married. It was one of the best days of my life. Best day. I got married in Turkey, and we had maybe 170 people. It was. Wow. Turned up and flew over on a plane and come to Turkey to witness me and my wife get married. There was 83 addicts. 83 addicts. Do you know what I mean? All came over and we had the best time. We were dancing on the beach. We had a boat party after, and I married my best friend, which is a beautiful thing. But it was also a celebration of life, celebration of recovery as well. It was everything all mixed into one. All mixed into one. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely priceless things happen here. Do you know what I mean? And I know this was one promise. I see one guy with a shirt on, with a thing on yesterday, with a hoodie, one promise, one prayer, one. You know what I mean? But there's many gifts. Many gifts. Do you know what I mean? But to be honest with you, I came here not for gifts. I came here to stop using. And what I've got is a lot more than just not using. And the journey continues. It talks about swapping one addiction for another. I'm finishing, give me 2 minutes. It talks about swapping one addiction for another. I've done that. I've been in meetings, do you know what I mean? I'm acting out and I've got some behaviour that I'm scared to tell you lot. Do you know what I mean? Because you think that I've got this down packed. So I can't let you know now. You know what I mean? And I've got sponsees and stuff in the room. You know what I mean? I've got myself in positions and been in places I shouldn't have been on. It's been so painful, and it's because of this book actually, where it's, there's a page that talks about secrets, and one morning I read that and it broke me, and I had to call my sponsor. I had to my sponsor and say to my sponsor, do you know what? This is what I'm doing. This is what's going on for me. Do you know what I mean? It talks about sometimes in here we have to go for outside help, and I had to go for outside help. Do you know what I mean? I had to go look at that stuff, and I like to see other men doing stuff in recovery. It really helps me. You know, my sponsor, you know, he's going through something with his wife. His wife's very ill at the moment, and I watch what he does with his wife. You know, it's men of integrity, this meeting, isn't it? I watch his integrity with this woman. Do you know what I mean? I watch him care for this woman. Do you know what I mean? She's not in good physical health. She's not the woman that she was when he married her, but I watch how his love is for her. It means a lot to me. When I see that, I think to myself, I want that. That's real stuff. You know? That's real stuff. That's real men stuff. And I watch that and I think, could I do that? Could I do that? Could I get to that level of love where it's unconditional? If you're in a wheelchair, if you're crippled, if you're blind, I made this vow to you. I'm going to be there for you. That's the kind of man that I want to be. And when I see my sponsor do that kind of thing, I think that's what I want. I watch. I don't just listen, because it's easy to do that, blah, 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 talk, you know, on page 76, that, da. In fact, the first time I ever saw a basic text was in a crack house. And it was a guy telling me about what's on page this and what's on page that and whatever. But he was still smoking crack. It's easy to do that. So I watch how people walk, not just how they talk. I could go on. I'm excited by this. You know, I love this stuff. You know, and but thanks for letting me share. I'm gonna leave it there.
Hi, my name is Miguel and I'm an addict. The 7th tradition states that every ending group ought to be fully